Hi everyone, Aiden here. I want to do a video on the different kinds of spells and different kind of magics that are out there. Mainly because most of the people think there's just what is considered white magic and black magic. Now, true magic is not any color. There's no list that says these spells are white magic and these spells are black magic, and all these different colors and all this, and isn't the case. What separates a spell from being good that has good intentions and bad intentions? No, I want to say we'll just use good and bad. It's just easier for that. Good and bad spells is the intent behind the spell, what the person is actually desiring. And spells that are considered white magic can be easily used for more harmful means. For example, love spells. This is probably the most common example out there, but if you are trying to attract a certain person's love and trying to get into a relationship with that without them having the free will, you're committing you're basically taking away their freedom and you're breaking the treaty, and that can be considered using magic for harm. With love spells, I've used a few once or twice. And when I do a spell, I'm a love spell. What I want more is to become more open to love and more putting myself out there and kind of just getting over my low self-esteem and kind of just taking a chance. That's really what I'm doing. That's really what I'm aiming for. I'm not looking to control or be with a certain person, because how do I know that person is the right person? And if I have to use magic to get with them, chances are they aren't the right person for me. So I'm becoming more open with it. So when I do find the person that I'm meant to be with, I can go for it, and they would have their free will and I would have mine, and I wouldn't be controlling anyone. I would just be helping myself, and that's how you should use love spells. And I advise not using love spells just simply because they're too tempting to use in the ill way. But when you allow yourself to be more open to love, it can be a very, very helpful spell. Another one is money spells. For the obvious reason, you can see how this could be going to harm. The whole point is to bring in more income to help you out with your own problems, but you have to be careful on where you're getting the income with the spells. You can't just say, may my wealth increase, because you could be taking money from a family who needs it. So be careful the wording. As one of the videos that Elias K93 put it about money spells that I really liked, he said he would word it as may he bring in as much wealth for the quality of his work, which means that he would get the raise for the quality of his work, not just to get the raise. And that to me is more of a way of bringing in money without harming other people, because you're not taking from a family, you're really earning the money. And the only person you're taking the money from is your employer, and they're meant to pay you anyways. I recommend his videos, by the way. I'll put his link to his channel below. I just find him very informative. He really knows what he's talking about, and I really enjoy his videos. He has a great bit of energy, and he just has a really good vibe, and I definitely recommend him for beginners. Going on with the topic, also I want to go into the actual types of magic and kind of avoid kind of move away from the black and white. There's different kinds of magic, such as natural magic, where you're using different you're using the energies found commonly in nature. Well, you do that with everyone, but you're mainly focusing. For example, star magic, where you're using the energy from the stars in the sky. That one I've been experimenting with personally, and it's very powerful. And I really enjoy, because you get away from the city to go out and see these stars, so you can work with them. And then another one I want to try in the winter is snow magic, where I'm using snow as one of the ingredients for my spells, and that should be interesting. I can't wait to try that. So I'm actually looking forward to winter for the first time in ever, and it takes a lot for someone from Michigan to go and say that, especially when they were originally from California. But there's many kinds of things. Like, there's spells that go around herbs. There's spells that go around stones. A lot of things with the moon, with the sea, with the rivers in general, and a lot of that is considered green magic. Although, once again, magic has no true color. I'm going to go into healing magic a little bit. That does a lot with energy work, and what you're doing when you're healing is that you're bringing in the healing energy from the world around you and letting it flow through your body into the person who is ill, and you're using that healing energy to remove the negative energy that's harming them and return it to the ground so it can be recycled into positive energy. That's the idea behind it. I personally have no talent with physical healings, but I work best with emotional and mental healing with energy work, and it's essentially the same thing, only when I look at the negative energy, I'm looking at the sorrow, the anger, the depression, the loneliness. I'm just aimed and targeting towards that and kind of removing that, and then I help the person with counseling and being there to with them to talk about their problems and kind of just letting them vent out their emotions. I have them start writing a journal and all this stuff, and it really helps at an emotional level, and that's my kind of healing. I'm more of a healer of the mind than of the body. What else can I go into? Elemental magic is where you take in the energies from the four main elements, as well as spirit. But spirit is very powerful, and I wouldn't recommend it right away. This would be stuff like a fire purification spell, water scaring, maybe a what would I call it? An earth. There's this one spell I was thinking of actually the other day. I guess you could consider, what would we fit in? If any of you have heard of a witch's bottle, basically what you do is you mix in herbs, and the one I was reading, it was herbs and wine. Although I've heard many times it was metal rusty objects and urine, and then you take the bottle and you bury it away from your home, and that's supposed to build protection. And to me, that's earth magic, because you're burying it in the ground, and those protective energies from the ground are protecting your home. I've never used the witch's bottle personally, but I may experiment with that. But I call it just a little difficult burying things because it's not year round, so maybe not in the near future, but I'll definitely one day. I consider star magic to be earth as well, because technically, even though it's a sun or any star is a ball of flames, there's still earth elements in there. In fact, many of the chemical minerals and chemical elements and minerals found on the earth today came from stardust. That's a whole lecture I can start off with another day, and that's kind of that whole origin, scientific origin, kind of along with Scott Cunningham's book, helped inspired me for using stars for magic, and it's very powerful. It's definitely something I would recommend. It's definitely pretty useful. And then with air would be like, I've heard of one air banishing spell where you write down what you're banishing, and then you tear it up in a piece of paper and throw it out in the wind. That could be one example. Sending out prayers with by lighting incense is another one I've worked with. There's a few other ones. One of the things I did, I created this one protective spell known as the Elemental Barrier, or that's what I called it. And then what I did was I infused the different elements' energy all together as kind of like a dome of energy. Then I wrapped spirit around and let spirit purify the center of the shield. So all the negative energy is shielded from within and from out. And basically this whole dome of energy that is constantly protecting you. Very powerful, but it drains you very easily. So it's definitely something I need to work with. What else can I go? I guess I can spend a little bit on the dark magic for a minute. Some of the stuff that is considered dark magic, if you really think about it, isn't really. The biggest one is probably blood magic. In blood magic, what the whole aspect is that you use a few drops of the caster uses a few drops of his own blood. This does technically break 3D, and I wouldn't recommend it. But the idea is that you use a few drops of blood, which is your life essence, and that's very intense power that can be used in your rituals. And the only reason I don't recommend it is that when there's a lot of energy and that kind of intense power, it leads to addiction and leads to just a bunch of bad problems, and power corrupts. Just remember that. It's definitely not something I'd recommend personally. And then there's a few other things, like curses and hexes. I believe that they only have as much power as the person who believes in the curse and hex. I mean the person being hexed and cursed. So if you don't believe in it, and you do a few cleansing spells in here just to get the negative energy off, they won't work, in my opinion. And I find that using those kind of magic just shows that you're childish and not responsible to your actions, and you will pay for it, really. I mean, the threefold law is going to come back and bite you in the ass. Excuse my French, but that's something that I do feel very, very personal about, because there was someone who tried hexing me before in the past, and I thought it was just silly, and it just got me angry more than anything. What's another thing? I'm going to go into divination, because that's where some of the darker stuff goes into, but it just allows me to talk more about different things I practice as well. Oh, I guess I could do a small thing on sacrifice real fast. Some of us do make offerings to the god and goddess. No, we do not sacrifice babies or anything live that breaks the 3D. I've yet to meet anyone who sacrificed an animal, and that would sicken me, out of all honesty. And obviously we do not sacrifice children or babies. That's just stupid, and anyone who believes that is a fool. What we do sacrifice every now and then is different things that relate to our deities. For example, I burn poetry that I've written because my goddess is the goddess of poetry. And you could do a bunch of stuff. You could burn certain kinds of incense. You can make offerings of certain herbs, different plants, different metals. Just making stuff and sending that as an offering. You could do bread, cakes and ale. You do a bunch of stuff, and it's just what it does is just shows respect to the gods and thanks them. Essentially, that's what you do, and that's why we do our rites. It builds a personal connection with us and the divine, and that's why we do offerings, and that's the whole point. Honestly, we don't go sacrificing children. Ooh, sorry guys, I gotta cut this short because I'm almost out of time. Yeah, that's all on sacrificing. Thank you for watching, and blessed be.